Well, it's not like they're on camera. It's like news anchors in the COVID era. Are they really dressed from the waist down? Nope. Look at that. Notification. But that's YouTube. Let's see if Facebook is working.
Hi, Michael Crane.
Michael. Must be because he's commenting on Facebook.
I'm looking over here.
Yep.
But you're actually here.
There we go.
You're not over there. You're over here.
Okay, so see our Facebook is working again.
Welcome to another edition of
Talons
and Tentacles.
with Lance and Colt.
And Colt and Lance.
We're here.
And we're playing Blasphemous. Why does it look different?
It's like frozen there.
Why is it different?
I don't know.
Because that shouldn't be this, should be that.
That shouldn't.
Shouldn't it? Shouldn't that be this and this be that?
Yep.
It should be the same thing.
We might have some technical difficulties here.
So, let's see what we got going on. Properties. Is there a reset button? Properties. Boom. Can I show you
Configure.
We're echoing?
How are we echoing? There's only one source of sound.
Only two mics.
Should we disable one of the mics? We've never had to do that before.
No, we've never had to do that before. We're going to use the mic.
Okay.
Let us know if that's better. Hey, Robert Lee.
Hey, Robert.
This game is amazing.
It's very amazing.
It's very amazing. Is it the auto detect button here on the buffering?
Maybe.
What's going on?
Ooh, that did something. What'd you do? Yeah, Robert, this game is amazing. Especially if you like, if you like creepy imagery that just makes you feel slightly uncomfortable. Let's be honest, a lot uncomfortable. There it goes. Lance figured it out. Lance is smart. Be like Lance. So yeah, if you like...
Hey!
What?
Hey,
what?
Hey, we gotta go outside real quick.
Go get it.
I'm afraid.
Do you want me to go get it?
Yeah, I want
Okay.
you to come with me.
We'll be back, guys. We have something that we need to show you.
We do. Don't go anywhere.
Stay, Robert.
Robert, stay. It's worth it. Stay, Robert. I promise. It's worth it. We'll be right back. Where are we putting him? I don't know.
Hold on, I do know.
Say hello to our mascot that we finally got back. I say finally. Michael's on. Michael's the one who painted this for us.
And it looks awesome.
It does look awesome. I'm gonna give you all the close-up.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it's totally worth it. I don't even know if you guys can hear us talking. Let me put my mic back on.
We're kind of all over the place.
Hi, everyone. Hey, everybody. This is Cthulhu. And he is awesome. Painted.
In all his glory. You
And-
gotta see the best, grossest part.
Yes.
Ow, I think he just scratched me. Cthulhu drew blood.
He does that a lot. Oh my gosh, Robert, it is so freaking worth it. Colt and I finally figured out how to beat the game. So this is from the third expansion for Cthulhu Death May Die, which is Ryanlith Rising.
Is that the full title?
Yeah, the full title. And this is the actual board for the expansion. You play on Cthulhu. But yeah, freaking awesome. He looks so
Look at this.
amazing. I love it.
What do you call these? I've been calling them sucker holes, but like that makes me feel gross
Oh,
every time I
like,
say it.
they're
Like barnacles, but they're not barnacles.
They're not barnacles.
They're like the suction things.
testuals. I don't know what they're called.
Like I always thought they were like the suction things, like on octopus tentacles.
Yes.
Like those things.
Yeah, like on our logo.
So like, so gross.
Let's show them side by side because I think they look so awesome.
Michael painted both of these for us.
Well, he created that one.
Yeah, he made this one.
I found the skull, the octopus skull was a whole, and then he painted it and created the rest.
Like added all the barnacles and stuff to it.
So you can see them together
in their glory.
in their glory. But yes, I'm so glad we have Cthulhu back, and he looks so awesome. Love it. But there you go.
There we go. Cool stuff.
Yes, I agree, Mike. It is awesome, freaking awesome.
So yeah, Robert, we won't be offended if you want to avoid spoilers. That's fine. We're like halfway through the game anyways.
I may need a full screen mapping. We will after the game, after we play.
After
we'll
we
do a
wrap
full.
up, we'll do a full screen reveal thingy.
Yeah. They're basically pussy barnacles, is what we're.
Ew. I don't even want to know what those are.
We should live stream a game of Cthulhu Death May Die.
That would be fun.
It would be fun with you playing as Hemingway and me playing as Einstein.
They're the best ones. They're
By far the best
they're
ones.
the MVPs.
Besides the nurse from season 1. The
She
fervent
was good.
nurse with the guns.
Is it the nurse or the nun?
The nun. It's the nun.
The nun. Yeah, the nun's
Yeah,
cool.
the
Because she's
fervent
got
nun.
pistols.
Yeah, she's got pistols. That's pretty rad. I really love that game.
But yeah, we finally figured out how to beat it.
We did.
Lance and I did a playthrough
And
where
like-
we beat it.
The key is to play 2 characters.
Yeah.
That's it.
So it was.
You can't beat it 2-player.
It was a 2-player game with 4 characters
Yes.
in play.
Yes.
2 characters is impossible.
It is impossible.
We got really close one time, but it's impossible. And we were playing our best game too.
Yeah, we were playing really well.
Yeah, Mortal Shells is awesome, Michael. Dead Cells, I haven't actually played it, but I know it's a Souls-like, but it's also
It's a lot of fun.
It's a roguelike as well.
I really like Dead Cells.
So I hear it's pretty good.
I like roguelike games. Like Rogue Legacy is one of my favorites. And Dead Cells is a lot like it's a mix of Dark Souls and Rogue Legacy.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, I would get it. I would recommend it.
And then if you like Dark Souls, Mortal Shell is a good little kind of bite-sized Dark Souls type game.
Right.
Like it has the weirdness of Dark Souls.
And Hollow Knight. Robert brought up Hollow Knight. That game's amazing. Have you played it?
Yeah. It's a
Love
little... I like it, but it's like... it for me, for my gaming skills, it leans too much on Twitch skills.
Sure.
And so I have a really hard time playing it. I'm not fast enough.
Right. I messed up our camera placement, so sorry guys.
It's right in front of Slime Picky, man.
There we go.
There we go. Oh, it's alright. Okay, should we jump in?
Yeah, I
keep talking.
I lucked out. I didn't get Cthulhu on Kickstarter. I went to our local game shop and they had it there.
It was the only one.
And it was the only one. And I said to the guy, I have to have that. And he didn't want to sell it to me. In fact, to this day, he doesn't exactly like me.
Still mad at you, right?
Yeah, he's still mad at me because I stole his Cthulhu. But I paid quite a bit of money for him.
Yeah, so
And
check
it turned out awesome.
real quickly.
Which the other day we were talking about Tainted Grail.
Yeah,
Remember the
yeah.
dark zombie version of King Arthur?
Yep.
It's actually a board game. And they did it as a Kickstarter.
That makes a lot of sense.
So it's a board game, and then they digitized it and turned it into an actual PC game.
Robert says they have it at his too, but they're not selling it.
Yeah, this guy did not want to sell it. He was very adamant that he didn't want to give it to me. bought Season 1 and the Black Box.
Black box, yeah, with the goat.
Yeah, so I bought them. I bought them all basically. So Season 1, Season 2, the Black Box with all the extra characters in it, the Goat of the Forest, and there's another one. Oh, Rylith Rising.
Yeah.
So I told him I will buy all of the game if you give me the statue as well. And so he had to do it because it was like a $700.
That was a big set.
It was a big set.
Yeah.
that I got him for. So, but the game's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So this isn't spoilery, Robert, but just give you an idea. We are almost halfway through the game, and we don't even have half the map revealed yet.
Right.
Like, this is a huge game. And so if you like Metroid, Castlevania style games, you know, the Metroidvania,
Yeah, if you love Symphony,
then you'll dig
this game is going to be great for you.
Yeah, it's great. Alright, so we got like the first 3 keys that we're after. Now we gotta gain access to the big cathedral thing.
I've heard people talk about Kingdom Death Monster, but I haven't seen anything about it. I need to check it out. It's a Kickstarter. I wish I had more time to just browse Kickstarter because I'm sure there's projects that I would absolutely love to do.
Yeah.
But by the time I hear about them, they're over.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that would have been fun to get in our...
Like Brandon Sanderson, I'm really into the Stormlight Archive. Very way of Kings.
Yeah.
They just did a 10th anniversary Kickstarter with the leather-bound versions of the book.
Nice.
Which might be that book is like 1,300 pages. So we had to do 2 volumes. And it was just amazing. For how much it costs? Like how would I sell it? I found that. Let's do this.
That's
That's
the...
what-
Yeah. Too big for me to do. Like, too much. You guys watching the review of it, the completionist and stuff like that? And it's like... Sometimes I go back and forth. Yeah, it's okay. I do like this guy, and then I'll watch the video. I like this guy.
It's like the guy from PlayStation Access one.
Yeah.
And there's times that I think he's in the greatest games. There's other times.
But, you know, go back to Let's Say Retro. Let's Say games and the Toys thing and stuff.
Yeah, those are amazing.
They just released a sequel.
Did they really?
Yeah. It's like, what was the first one? Curse of the Moon.
That's awesome.
But yeah. The retro style.
So we actually have
Yes.
one for your work.
Yeah.
The Dark Souls game. It is. I should have fixed
But in an unfair way. The video game is well balanced. The board game is in order for it to be played. Like it's unplayable.
It picked it up. Finally. That should be better, guys. Sorry. I get all of a sudden
The audio kicked
the
in.
audio from the game kicked
Yeah,
in.
let us know what we need to do.
No, exactly, Robert. That's exactly what we just said. We had to homebrew the rules
Yep.
to make it more
make it
like
playable.
the actual game, to make it playable. Because there's no way in hell.
Yeah,
you
we
can
were
beat
following
that
the
thing.
rules and we're like, how are we supposed to even get
Yeah.
through the first room?
Yeah, there's no way you can beat that game on its own. So yeah, we homebrewed everything to match more of the actual.
Yeah, we
game.
basically adopted like, okay, if we're gonna play this, let's play it like you do the video game.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we had a lot more fun with it once we got to that point.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. We're playing through the campaign anyway.
You are there, even if I can't see you.
And then I got Colt the Bloodborne card game.
And that's a lot of fun. And Michael's gotten into that. He's actually got some miniatures
Oh, cool.
for it. He was supposed to bring him the last time he visited, but he forgot. But I'm not going to hold that against him.
Yeah. Yeah, the Dark Souls board game is very stressful. I mean,
Yes.
there were moments where you and I were both like, screw this game.
Like screaming at it.
Yeah. Like, there's no way that this is how it's supposed to be played. Yeah, we even beat one boss, didn't we? I can't
Yeah,
remember who it
we
was.
beat the Belfry Gargoyles.
Yeah, that's right. And they do have an insane number of expansions for that game.
It's crazy.
Good night, Robert. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks, man. Good to see you.
Exemplars, excommunicationists.
Excommunicado.
Excommunicationists.
It's saying that we've been excommunicated,
Right.
but like eternally excommunicated or
Yes.
something like that.
This dude's
I'm
cool
just teasing.
with the
With the like lightning mace thing.
thing.
It's like a what are those things called that they swing with the incense censer.
Yeah.
It looks like that, but like made into a polearm.
Yes.
So this guy, he and his sister were members of what's called the Blessed Legion, which is basically the holy guard of the Pope dude in this. The sister died before the events of the game, but he still like sees her. It's like her ghost follows him around, but he's like, it's this weird like competition thing he has where he's like, no, I don't need your help, I can do things by myself, you know.
Right.
And so it's kind of cool because as you'll see as the boss fight goes on, she is actually still around. So he's not just crazy.
Well, he seems easy cool. I don't know what your problem is.
He's not bad once you get the hang of it, which I feel like is most bosses in these kind of games.
Yes.
What's cool on a previous playthrough of this game, I played through every single boss without healing once. During the boss fights.
Right.
You know, I didn't use healing items during the boss fights.
Did you unlock an achievement for
It
that?
was an achievement, yeah.
Well, I'm glad they gave it to you.
They gave me something.
It was probably bronze though, right?
I think it was silver.
I totally get it, Robert. I have this fantasy that I'm going to take up miniature painting because I have Gloomhaven, and there's an insane number of miniatures for that, and just like a bunch of my games, like all the D&D games that I have, which of the D&D games I have, Castle Ravenloft is by far my favorite, obviously because it's Strahd.
Oh yeah, you love Strahd.
I do love Strahd. Strahd is my jam. Which they're coming out with a re-release of Curse of Strahd. It's not a re-release. It's like a enhanced collector's edition.
That's cool.
That comes in his. So the actual box set comes in his tomb,
Oh, that's cool.
which is rad. I really want to get it. Because Strahd's amazing. And interesting side note. Strahd von Zanovich was created by Timothy Hickman.
Why do I know that?
He is the creator of the Dragonlance novels.
That's right.
Also LDS and lives in Utah.
Cool.
That was interesting.
That is cool.
And Margaret Weiss. Timothy.
Margaret Weiss. I was like, there's somebody else in that because my sister had those books when I was growing up, and I always loved the art style of them.
Yeah. Margaret Weiss is his like co-creator in most of the stuff that he does. Yeah, I really want to paint my miniatures from Curse of Strahd.
See, there's a sister.
Oh, nice.
They're kind of cool.
She's
Kinda cool
rad
to touch.
looking.
Oh yeah,
With
she's
the
way cool.
like with the bent sword and everything.
Yeah.
Which, okay, let's talk very quickly. I don't need to distract from the game.
Sure.
Did you watch the Mulan remake?
No, I haven't. Did you?
Yeah.
Any good? I've heard mixed reviews.
Okay, so here's the thing. Right, color choice. I totally get it, Robert. I need to do like a Skillshare training on how to paint miniatures because I think it would be a lot of fun, and you know I'm alone 50% of the time, so I think it would be a cool hobby to take up, painting
Oh,
miniatures.
she smoked me on that.
Oh, you almost did that, bro.
I didn't want healing either.
You almost got it.
Oh, he caught me! I was trying to slide, but I was on the cooldown.
Here was my take on Mulan.
Okay.
If you go into the movie wanting a remake of the animated movie,
You're not gonna get it.
you're going to be disappointed. If you go into the movie wanting it to be a 2020 female empowerment movie, like Wonder Woman and Captain America and all of that, you're going to be really disappointed.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. If you go into the movie just wanting something entertaining and not expecting it to do any heavy lifting or have an actual message that matters,
Yeah.
it's a pretty fun movie.
So if
They
you're
took
wanting
out-
something inconsequential, it's
Yeah.
a good movie.
Yeah, yeah. It's not Mulan by any means.
Which I've heard, like, so they made the choice of, like, taking out, like, the Eddie Murphy dragon character, Mushu,
Yes.
and stuff like that. For the sake of realism, was the article I read a while ago when people were complaining about it. I was like, okay. But then, like, come to find out, and I haven't seen it yet, so I'm just going off of reviews and stuff. There's still, like, magic and witches and stuff.
Yes.
So, like, why make such a big
so
deal
they,
about
they
taking
center
it
it
out?
around Chi. So it's like they, you know, that she has
Oh,
a
okay.
strong Chi.
So mystical
not-
Chinese magic.
Yeah, which kind of makes sense
Kind
for
of.
the period.
Sure.
But my issue with it was when one of the reasons I absolutely loved the animated movie, and it's one of my favorite Disney movies.
Because the songs kick butt.
Yes, Donny Osmond's
Does he
amazing
do music?
vocals. Yes, dude, Donny Osmond.
I didn't know that. I know
Donny
he
Osmond sings "Darker Than Moon."
That's cool. I know he does.
Or I'll make a man out of you.
Yeah. I didn't know that.
Yep.
I just knew he was in the Coat of Many Colors,
Yeah, he was. That's dope.
which is decent.
I didn't like the fight scenes either, Michael. And there was a lot of like really weird stuff that happened. Where it was like, what are we doing now? But see, the problem with for me anyway. Yeah, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, very bland version of Crouching
So,
Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
wire food.
Pretty much, kind of. But it was beautiful. It was a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
Let me make this point really quick, and then we'll move on to something else.
Sure.
The original animated movie, like, had a message about how women are equal to men, and Mulan wasn't special. She was just another warrior, and she
Wanted
tried
to
really
protect
hard.
her family and
Yeah.
things like that.
And she
being
used-
accepted for who she was. And,
Yeah.
Right?
And she used her brains
Sure.
instead of just like sheer force. She's like, okay, I've got to figure out how to climb to the top of the pole, and like,
You gotta be clever about
yeah,
it.
she had to be clever. And like, there was he didn't have his awesome twisted sword. I don't know why the hell they didn't include that.
What?
Robert?
The,
They didn't.
the
no.
Mongol doesn't have his cool
No,
sword?
no,
I'm out.
It's stupid.
I'm out.
But like the original animation,
Much like Gotham Knights.
Ouch.
Gotham Knights has no Batman, I'm out.
Get out.
Mulan has no twisty sword, I'm out.
I don't know. But the original message was that, you know, anybody can be special. You don't have to be born special. You don't have to have special powers.
Sure.
You can be you and be awesome. And it's a very inspiring movie. And that's kind of like the whole point with the Reflection song. Is like, I just want to be me, and like it was a very poignant story. I felt like the animated film told.
Yeah.
In this movie, at the very beginning, she's jumping around chasing a chicken on the rooftops, and like she's special, and and her dad wants to encourage her to follow her chi and be a strong warrior, and like she's different from everyone else because she has these special abilities, and like it's dumb and boring, and there's zero gravitas to the show.
So did they basically make Mulan marry Sue? Is that the problem? Or is she just overpowered for the sake of being overpowered?
Well, there's just no conflict at all in the movie. There's zero conflict. Even in the moment where I thought, oh my gosh, they're actually going to do something interesting here. The commander comes into the tent. Mulan's there with all these naked guys. Like, they're just, it's the end of the day, they're in their underwear just chilling. And the commander comes in and says it's time to hit the showers. And like Mulan's forced with this, like, what the hell am I going to do now?
What do I do now?
You know, and there's like this moment of Mulan actually being a legitimate character and making a decision that would actually affect what happens in the story. And immediately the commander says, and I need someone for nighttime guard duty.
So
and
it gives her an easy out.
Yeah, it gives her an easy out.
That's weird.
And it's, instead of exploring like that conflict and giving Mulan an actual characterization of having her make a choice that would matter to herself, they gave her an easy out. And that's what happens in every single instance of the movie. And even the end fight with the boss, it was like she didn't fight him. She cut a rope.
Cool.
Yeah, it was really boring. And if you go into it expecting anything even remotely similar to the cartoon, you're going to be disappointed. Yes, Hercules. Disappointed. I loved the witch character. I thought the witch character was amazing. But, again, they didn't give her, like, there was no consequence to her. Other than she was a foil to Mulan.
Sister, I know you are there. Even if I after your
Can I get my
on you.
getting it handed to me with this guy?
I didn't want
This is New Game Plus, so there's that.
There's that excuse. I mean, I would expect you to suck on New Game Plus, but I did love how the witch could turn into the Falcon, and it like played off of the cartoon expectation of the villain having the Falcon with him and everything. Like it was cool, and I really did like the actress that played the witch. But again, there was never any consequence for Mulan. Even in that moment where the witch kicks her ass, what really happened? Nothing. Mulan is all of a sudden like, I'm gonna take my armor off and run into battle as a woman.
As you do in the heat of battle.
Yeah.
Did they use fireworks?
Nope.
And did the cool boss say the cool line where now all of, so they say the line and then it's like, no, now all of China knows where you are.
Nope.
Well,
Nothing.
I'll just go watch the cartoon.
And not even like the emperor at the end, like it was just so weird because it was like women can't be in the army, and yet the emperor at the end was like, "Oh, stand up, warrior! You're amazing!" Like it was just so. They could have done something amazing and they didn't, and it was very disappointing. They didn't even have the line which was like, "No matter how hard the wind howls, the mountain never bows to the wind."
Which is a cool line.
Such an amazing line for the emperor to say.
Yeah.
As he's got the sword to his throat. Nah, none of that.
Well, that's lame.
That said, you take all of that away, it was a very beautiful movie, and it was very well produced. And I think that the people the actors in it did a really, really good job. And there were a lot of nods to the cartoon, like direct lines from songs. Like they had characters say lines from the songs, and they had Ming Gao Wen, you know, the Agent May from S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah.
That voiced Mulan in the movie. She was in it.
Oh, that's cool.
And so there was a lot of really cool touches to it.
A little bit of fan service.
Yeah. And Jet Li was the Emperor, which, I mean, I'm always down for Jet Li.
Ever since Romeo Must Die.
Yes. Even though he didn't do anything.
They did X-ray moves before Mortal Kombat X.
Right. Yeah, the villain was hardly even in it.
That's boring.
And they gave him like this tragic backstory. The Emperor killed my daddy. And it's like, no.
It's like, can we just have a bad guy that doesn't need to be like redeemed?
Look, why can't we just have him want to take over China?
Yeah, just have him be bad for
Yeah.
the sake of being bad.
I want to take over China. And he even in the cartoon, he has that cool line. Was like, you know, he provoked me by building his wall or something like
Yeah.
that. There's that
Yeah.
one line where he's like, it's your fault. You built the wall
Yep.
to keep me out. I
You
have to
invited
prove
me,
to you.
yeah.
Yeah.
If it's there, I've got to.
Which is a rad.
Invade.
Like, that's cool. That was cool. In this movie, he killed his dad, so he wanted to kill the Emperor. And even the final fight in the cartoon, it's friggin' amazing with Mulan, like stealing his sword with
Yeah.
the fan,
Yeah.
and
The rooftop and
the three army dudes getting cross-dressed and are concubines. And,
Yeah, it's cool.
and like it's really awesome. And then they do the whole thing with the fireworks at the end that blows the dude up and everything. Like the ending of the cartoon, so much more better. And I get, you know, maybe they couldn't have done all of that with the fireworks and everything, but come on, they spent $200 million
Yeah,
on this.
you do something. with
They could have
fireworks.
done something. Hey, Steve Martin,
Well, that's cool.
how are you? Yeah, but at the ending of this, she just like she cuts the rope and he falls to his death. It's like, what up? She's pretty rad. She
Way
she
rad.
has a cool twisty sword.
Absolutely.
See, it all came around.
We got our twisty sword.
And blood red wings. Hi, Curtis Richens Jr.
You can get smoked on this one too.
How are you? You can totally do it. Just
I almost
said-
had her. Look
See?
at that.
I was going into the motivation.
Ah, a little too late,
I'm
Lance.
sorry. I'm so sorry.
All I want to do is get across this bridge. The door is right there, and then we can end our.
I know you are there.
End,
Even if
end
I
it.
can't see you, here after your departure, and may the on your
But you can't get past
Oh, I'll get past it.
Esdras.
Esdras.
Esdras. Ooh, playing some Conan Exiles, I'm imagining is the rest of that sentence, Curtis. Yes, Conan Exiles.
Conan Exiles was kind of cool. Then.
It does look cool. It does look cool. But, I mean, I have so many games coming out in, like, the next couple of weeks. There's, well, Crusader Kings 3 just came out.
Sure.
Which that's a full price game. Baldur's Gate 3 is coming out to early access
Oh, cool.
on September 30th, which I have to play.
Yep. You got it.
I will totally.
It's like the Great Wall of China. It's there.
It's there, so I must beat it. I'm gonna be streaming that one, and then Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out. Like in October? Is it October or November?
November.
And there's another game in October coming out. That oh yeah, World of Warcraft Shadowlands comes out in October. So it's I've got like
So you got stuff
I've got a
coming
lot coming up. I don't have time to play Conan Exiles as much as I want to. And Colt, Disgaea 4 Complete Plus launched on Steam 2 days ago.
I don't even know what that game is, Lance. I've never heard you talk about that game.
You've never heard me talk about Disgaea.
Lance really likes this guy, guys.
That's because Disgaea is bar none the best series of video games ever made. Fight me. Fight me on it. Disgaea is the best. The best series. There is no other game. no other game where you can raise your characters to level 9,999 and then reincarnate them to level 1, keeping all of their stats, mind you, and raise them to 9,999 again, and then reincarnate them again, keeping all of the stats that you just got. So it's just a constant stacking of stats. It's a stat stack. It's freaking awesome.
Stat stack stimulator.
That is literally what Disgaea is. You can punch holes in the universe in this game, Colt. Literal holes in the universe. What other game can you do that in? Besides as Alucard at the beginning of Symphony of the Night.
Which... Like,
You're like so good. You're doing
I
great.
know. I just have like no room to breathe.
It's because I was talking about Disgaea.
I'm distracted because of this guy. That was
You
it.
died.
Stop talking
You
about
di-
this
Why
guy.
did you die?
Because you're talking about this
Why
guy.
did you die? You were doing great.
Because all of a sudden you're doing great, they hit you and your life bar's gone. Damn.
You know what game I want?
What?
I want Lords of Shadow 3.
Sister, I know you are there.
Why don't we have it?
Because we're too busy making Gotham Knights and using the Nemesis system.
I understand, but seriously? Lords of Shadow 3?
No, they're actually making a new Lord of the Rings game.
No, Castlevania Lords of Shadow.
Oh, Lords of Shadow. I was thinking of Mordor for some reason. Yeah, we do need a
Wait, they're making another Mordor
No,
game?
no. They're making a Gollum stealth game. Tell me how that's going to be interesting. Where you play as Gollum, and it's a stealth game.
Like Thief?
Or like that weird Styx game where you play as an orc goblin guy that sneaks around. It sounds bad. I don't really want to play as Gollum.
Because it's
Of all the
stealth.
characters in Lord of the Rings that I want to play as,
Gollum is
Gollum
not one
isn't
of
the
them.
one.
But maybe he'll surprise us, Cole.
How? We know his story. How is he going to surprise us?
We don't know what happened with him in the cave between
Well, they turn.
Edera, whatever happened with him finding the ring and then
Sure,
him
sure.
encountering Bilbo. We don't know. There could be some interesting things happen there.
I mean, they're going to mix it up. They made Shelob into a sexy lady for some reason.
and for the most part, I was on board.
Well, yeah, because I just unfocused my eyes and got back to
She's a spider.
killing orcs.
Well, yeah.
'Cause
I did the
didn't
weird
care.
the. It does look. Yeah, Curtis says it looks terrible. The Gollum game looks
Yeah.
terrible. No, the story in
It's not its strong suit. At
Shadow
least
of
in the-
Mordor.
Shadow of Mordor, the story is okay. Shadow of War,
Shadow of War.
not so much.
Yeah. No, with the extra ring and everything
Yeah.
was like weird.
Yeah, I don't get it.
And Celebrimbor turned into this like really weird, vengeful
Yeah.
tyrant guy
Yeah.
when like.
Well,
he
and not
was
only that,
never like that in the books.
Like Sauron had a relationship with Shelob as the sexy lady.
yeah, weird.
I don't know what they're doing in that game.
I don't either.
It's weird.
I don't know what they're doing in that game either. But I will say this: I didn't give a shit about the story because the gameplay was
Oh yeah,
pretty
gameplay outshines the story.
Loved the gameplay. No, I would really love a Lords of Shadow 3.
Yes, I agree.
And I don't think okay, I know it gets a lot of hate.
It's not a bad game. It's a little repetitive.
Lords of Shadow 2, I
Yes.
feel like was a good game. I liked the story.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It wasn't as good as 1.
No,
But
it wasn't as refreshing as one.
yeah, but you also didn't have Patrick Stewart in it.
And
so
you
what are
didn't get to
gonna
fight
do?
Lucifer.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna give it this time. I haven't even used the health potion yet. See that?
You're doing great.
No, 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 no.
No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Oh, snap.
It's like that block though.
I did love it. I did love that block. That was also a very good block. He's dead now.
Boom!
Chain. I feel like I accomplished something. I didn't.
That was a good fight, dude.
It was a good fight.
Forgive me.
It was a very good
Now
fight.
I will
I didn't
cross
do
over
anything,
to the
and yet I
other
have a
side
sense
of the
of
tree
accomplishment.
and return to
plenty,
your
Lance.
side.
You were my moral support.
I managed the comments.
Requie Aeternum. That means rest eternally, right?
Yes, Eternal Rest.
Eternal Rest.
I love how absolutely nobody said jack shit about this guy.
It just went silent on chat for a
Yes.
while.
Nobody said anything about it. Boom.
This part is cool though. You'll like this. Cutscene.
I feel my blood,
I have something on my phone I want to talk about in just
Okay.
a second.
and my aged skin into reddish bark.
What is this? What are these faces coming out?
So
of
this
his
is
cheek?
that's the main bad guy. He's like he turned into the like a tree grew out of him. His skin turned to bark, and he like became part of the facade of the building we just entered. So that door we just went through, up higher on it is that dude like protruding. He's like massive and protruding out. Don't laugh when I
No,
say
I'm
massive and
talking about-
protruding.
I'm talking about Michael. It's like it needs no words because everybody hates it. Has anybody played Disgaea?
Well, yeah, Curtis says, "Oh yeah, it looks terrible."
No, he was talking
No,
about
I think he's talking about
He's
this
talking
guy.
about the Golem game. He's not talking about Disgaea. Curtis, if you're talking about Disgaea, you're no longer my friend.
Anyways, and as you start progressing through here, that dude starts waking up, and like the blood starts like rejuvenating him. That's why his skin's red and stuff and gross. Yeah, it's nasty.
So I subscribe to Quora. You know what that is? It's like where people go and ask random questions and the
Okay, yeah.
experts respond.
Yes.
And one of the alerts I have is any question that has to do with the Titanic.
Okay.
Because why not? You know,
Sure,
like
do
when
it.
I usually get a notice at 9:30 at night of here's the list of all the alerts that you have. This is the alert that came. The question that was asked today. What did Jack feel like when he was freezing in the water in Titanic?
I bet he felt cold.
Now my answer, my like gut instinct was to say back, well, it was fine because he was an actor and it was just fake, right? Like
Sure.
he was fine. No,
Leo was okay.
Yeah, Leo was just fine, as we could tell. Although I don't think he was fine from Django Unchained. I think he actually had to get stitches.
Yes,
and all
he
that.
actually wounded his hand in that.
Yeah. It's interesting. So the expert says saltwater freezes at a lower temp than freshwater. So it was actually closer. Most people think the water was around 30 degrees.
Okay.
Because it was salt water, it was actually probably closer to like 10 or 15. Which means it was hellish. It felt like thousands of tiny little pricks on your skin until eventually you just die.
Yeah.
Which isn't that fun.
To be part
It's a lot of fun.
of His Holiness God.
Yeah.
It was said that Perpetua could speak to her brother even after death.
Alright, so this guy's talking about that duo we just fought.
Right.
Twisted all the paths of the miracle.
Okay, so I think this is probably a good time to wrap up whatever we want to say about the game.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think Blasphemous is a really interesting examination of how scary religion can be, and particularly one of the topics that we haven't covered talking about this yet is the idea of mass control. And I think this game does a really good job of pointing out, particularly with all the enemies and everything in it, how the dogmas of religion can force you into thinking one very specific way, and
make you feel and believe that it's your fault
exactly,
when bad things
yeah,
happen.
exactly,
Which it's like a weird form of gaslighting,
yes,
like on a cosmic scale.
yeah, and yet all high demand religions do that, and it's a form of control. And it's interesting. I was doing some research for this topic I wanted to talk about, and there's 4 ways that high demand religions, which this.
I mean, it's
Probably
obviously
biased.
it's obviously pulling from Catholicism.
Right.
I mean, let's just get that out there.
4 ways that high demand religions control you. They control you physically through sex, saying, hey, look, you need to feel bad about this, or you need to feel bad about that. You can't do this. You can't do that.
So like sexual repression.
Sexual repression is huge in religion. They control you through finances.
Okay.
Which
Donations
you
and
feel
tithes
like
and-
you have to donate, you have to pay your tithing, you have to do all those things. They control your thinking by telling you what's right, what's wrong.
And that's in
And
terms
how-
of like the dogma and
Right.
the belief systems and stuff
Yes,
like that.
exactly. And then they control your emotions, in which they make you feel guilt and shame and all of those things. And I think this game does a really good job of bringing those, if not all four of those out, at least specifically the emotion side of it,
Yeah.
because
Well,
we're playing
it's
the
all
penitent
about, yeah,
one.
it's all about guilt. Everything they talk about is like, oh, you're on this path because you were guilty. We are guilty ones. The miracle is great, but it's the grievous miracle. It's your fault,
Well, and even Homeboy here,
Yeah.
like he's very much representing guilt and shame and repression. I mean, he can't even see his face.
Can't see his face. He's
and
bound.
he's tied up. He's
on
bound.
his knees.
Yeah.
Like it's a form of
Supplication.
supplication.
And I think that's one of the things that this game does really well.
Yeah.
Is bringing out just how horrific blind following of faith can actually be. And because all of these bosses represent some sort of sin,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that religion does really well is getting you to believe that you are sinning by making a choice against their teachings.
Yes. And so, like, and again, we're not talking about any religion in particular or specific. We're talking in terms of religion in general. And it could be Eastern religions, it could be Western religions, it could be, whatever it is that exerts control.
Yeah.
Cults do that very well.
Right.
But one thing I was thinking about in preparation for this is, why is the game called Blasphemous? Like, why is that a thing?
Sure.
And a lot of the descriptions we write in the beginning of the show, every time we've been streaming this, we talk about blasphemy,
Yes.
and so, the story of this game is the character, the penitent one that we play as, is awakened by the miracle and sent on this mission to basically murder these high-ranking guardians of this religion, of this church.
Right.
You know what I mean? And ultimately, getting into a little bit of spoilers, but we have to spoil a little bit so we can talk about it. Ultimately, you take on the actual leader of the church who turned his throne away from the people and ignored them, and that's why the miracle acted upon him and turned him into a tree.
Sure.
More or less. And so our goal is to take him out because the miracle demands it.
Right.
But why are we doing what the miracle says in the first place? Because every evidence that we have of what the miracle does is it turns people into horrific monstrosities.
I mean, yeah, even just
Like-
look at ourselves.
Yeah, and then even the basic people. Everybody you come across is suffering.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so, like, what is the blasphemy? Is it that we're toppling the bureaucratic side of the religion as it's established, the ones that, gild everything in gold and things like that, and taking down the leader of the church in human form? Or, I don't know, is it a blasphemy to go against humanity and good nature? And I think it's more a philosophical question. If some outside reference, okay, in this they call it the Grievous Miracle. If you look at the Grievous Miracle as one of the old gods, as a Cthulhu type entity, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's the whole point. They control through driving people to insanity or driving people to commit horrific acts in the name of greed, lust,
Right.
Things, all these kind of things. So what is the blasphemy part of it? Is it that the fact that we're going against an organized church structure, or is it the fact that we are going against humanity and doing something that is alien to what we are as human? We are following its commands.
Right.
Is that the ultimate blasphemy?
Sure.
And I think it's a little bit of both. I think that's kind of the deeper thing, and that's just how I've read into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because we have no real reason to do what the Grievous Miracle wants us to do, other than it's a game and we have to move left to right.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, what is the ultimate goal? Are we committing blasphemy because, like I've said, we're toppling a church? Or because we are damning mankind?
Well, and I think that brings up an interesting topic in terms of actual horror. And what does horror why is horror such an interesting topic for us to be covering on this channel? And I think realistically this game does it really, really well of shining a light on the way that we think and the way that we perceive things that we wouldn't necessarily take time to stop and think about. And I think that's what horror can do where that other mediums can't, is a really, really well done horror show. Like, for example, Skeleton Key.
Yeah.
Or, I would even go with, like, Army of Darkness is a really good, even though it's a comedy, it's still, the horror's there.
And it was born of more horrific movies that came before it,
Evil
the
Dead.
same series.
Exactly. But what really well done horror, Silent Hill 2. Now, Silent Hill 2 is a great example. Let's actually talk about that for a second, because it's our favorite game, right? The reason that game is so horrific is because it takes all of the events going on in the game and forces you to look at yourself and say, shit.
I am a piece of crap.
Yeah. And like, I'm playing as James, and I feel like James is a good guy, and yet he's done all of these things. And like it forces a lens inward to say, am I guilty of doing any of this? Am I falling victim to any of these thoughts? And I think that's what this game does really well, is making you stop and say, okay, so am I doing what I'm doing because it's what I believe, or am I doing it because someone who has authority over me is telling me that's what I need to do?
Right.
And I think that's the blasphemy, is we don't really know because the penitent one doesn't ever talk.
No.
But is he following the grievous miracle because the grievous miracle brought him back to life and he feels compelled to actually do what the miracle says? Or is he doing it because, he likes killing things?
Yeah. I mean, we see his brutality enacted upon normal people. Like, the people that are in the throes of suffering because of the grievous miracle.
Right.
The dude's walking around bound to angel statues that can barely move.
Yeah, barely move.
And he's just smashing them and crushing them underneath.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I don't know that there's not a real answer to
No,
that.
I think it's very much up to your own interpretations of...
But I think this is an effective horror game because it takes all of those tropes with religion and makes you say, huh. And I think Diablo does that as well.
Yeah.
I think Diablo does a really good example. The original Diablo is a really good example of taking that form of religion and saying, okay, so King Leoric sacrificed his son because
Something
Lazarus, Archbishop Lazarus was like, you need to sacrifice your son, and unleashed Diablo upon the world, where now we've got to go in and take care of the clean up the mess. But it's because the church was corrupted, and they used that corruption to achieve their own end goals instead of what the church was originally set up for, which is helping people grow closer to God. And I think this game really exemplifies not only that idea, but also like that bone-chilling, I don't know if I should really be playing this because it's kind of sacrilegious.
You kind of feel it in the pit of your stomach.
Yeah.
Like, you just kind of feel like a little uneasy and uncomfortable about it. Like, I've talked with, I don't know if he's still watching, but I've talked with Michael about it. He said, he doesn't think he can get into this game because it just makes him feel a little too uncomfortable.
But again, like, that's what good horror does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're uncomfortable because you don't want to face the fact that maybe
there's
you're falling victim to the same things going on in the game.
Or maybe the game is making a good point.
Yeah.
We don't want to
Like,
accept
I don't
that.
want to accept that.
Sure.
I don't want to accept that maybe my religion is
And-
brainwashing me to do things
and
I don't want to do.
I don't want to make him feel bad because I called him out by name, but we're not saying that he's wrong in feeling that way.
No, exactly.
That's-
Exactly. It's just that's
just what horror does.
yeah, that's what horror
And,
does.
and like we were saying,
Hey, Jason.
Like the point you were making earlier, why do we focus on the horror genre? And I think it, what it does, and I think this is what you were saying, is it normalizes things that are normally taboo.
Right.
That you're not allowed to talk about in regular day-to-day society. Like,
Exactly.
we can't talk about it.
Yeah.
We can't talk about the horrors of religion and suffering and
No.
your day job. You know what I mean?
No.
But through horror, it's like, okay, this is normal.
Yeah.
The gore
Well,
is
and
normal.
what is-
the fear is normal.
Normally, what is it that horror usually? I mean, what are the main things we see with horror, right? Like look at the first Friday the 13th. What's going on? Teenage sex.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, all of all of that stuff, like those things that we feel taboo and shame about talking about, we
It's
can
like, no.
talk about in the horror
Let's
lens.
put it in the forefront,
Yeah.
and let's really break it down and
And
take a look
examine
at
it,
it
and
and be like,
examine
well,
it.
what is wrong with this? Why is this a taboo
Yeah.
subject?
Exactly.
And that's what horror allows us to do, is it makes it normal, and it offers us the freedom to, walk down those pathways of thought.
And I think be exposed to new ways of thinking about things that we normally would say, I'm not going to even touch this. And I think Silent Hill 2 is
Really
a perfect example of that.
leans really heavily into
Yeah.
taboo.
Yeah, because
You
like,
know,
okay,
it
not only
talks
did he
about-
kill his wife, but kind of a sex freak.
Yeah.
And
But there's also a character in there who is the victim of incestual abuse.
right.
There's a character in there who is guilty of animal abuse and eventually going on to murdering people and probably on his way to becoming a serial killer.
Right.
Like, how do you talk about those things
Yeah, you
outside of the context of horror?
You don't.
You know what I mean? But I also think that's why people are drawn to horror. That's why people watch documentaries about Ted Bundy.
Oh,
That's why
yeah,
people
for
watch
sure.
How to Make a Murderer on Netflix.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we're drawn to it.
Right.
We want to be able to talk about
Well,
these
and I think
things
one of the best-
because it's a part of human nature.
One of the best examples of that, here locally anyway, was that Abducted in Plain Sight.
Yeah.
On because it
out
happened.
of Pocatello.
Yeah, happened in Pocatello.
Which is what,
And I know
50 minutes away from us?
Yeah, 50 minutes away. I know when that came out on Netflix, like my whole family was having this discussion of how could have that happened, and it was like really interesting to talk about, and particularly with my kids, because how do you bring that up with your kids? You know, like I don't want to have that conversation. Well, kids, we're going to sit down and talk about, pedophiles and people
Sure.
who want to molest you, and here's what you're going to do about it. Like, it's not a comfortable. It's not
a hard discussion
Yeah,
to
it's a
have.
hard discussion. And I think what that show did, particularly, was open at least in my family, a discussion up to say, okay, holy crap! Not only he did it 3 times, right? Like
And
he did it
in plain
sight.
out in the open.
Yeah,
Like,
he
he
just-
wasn't hiding anything. The
No.
parents knew what he was doing.
exactly.
And it still continued.
Yeah.
And that's what's horrifying. And you bring up pedophilia, I think that's a good point. Right now, the hot topic, going back to Netflix, is that show, Cuties. Have
Yes.
you heard about that? That everybody's
Yes.
freaking out about?
Uh-huh.
And I agree. That's garbage.
Right.
I'm not going to go cancel Netflix over it because there's other things on Netflix that I'm going to watch.
Right.
I got to watch Witcher season 2.
Yes.
But
We haven't even
but
talked about
people are up in arms about this, admittedly terrible show that shouldn't have been made, and it's exploiting children, obviously.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't have daughters, but this community, how many dance classes
Yeah.
do we have around town?
Right.
That have girls dress up in short shorts and go out and dance for halftime at local basketball games.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what's the difference?
There's not.
Is there a difference? Like, it's still kind of weirdly sexualizing kids,
Yeah, underage.
but people
kids.
won't talk about it because it's been normalized.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to like be controversial in that, but like, I get that Cuties as a TV show is disgusting and horrible,
Yes.
but I mean,
But if
are we
it-
looking
but
at
if
ourselves?
we're pushing it
are
to
we
the
learning anything
extreme-
from it, or are we just expressing outrage?
Yeah.
And that's my point.
But that's what horror does. Horror takes those things that we think, okay, it's a little okay, it's not a big deal, and pushes it to the extreme, so that we can look at it and say, nah, that's not okay. Like it's not okay. And if that conversation, the whole Cuties conversation actually led to a discussion of, hey, we're over sexualizing these 16-year-olds in their cheerleader costumes.
Then it's valid.
Then yeah, then I think something good came out of it. I'm not going to watch the show.
No.
But if it leads to a discourse of, if this is not okay, why is this okay? Then I think it's worthwhile discussion to have. And I think that's what, particularly with Blasphemous, what this game does, is it kind of looks and says, well, this isn't okay. So why is it okay that,
What?
you know?
Wait a minute, Lance. You're telling me that it's not okay to take a coned thorn helmet, fill it with the blood of somebody I just killed, and put it on my head so that the blood drips down over my body?
I mean,
That's not normal?
No kink shaming, but
That's not normal?
no, I don't think that's normal. I'm not
But
exactly
yeah,
sure
I
that
mean,
that's normal.
Yes, but I mean, that's our whole point, and I think that's the whole point of this channel,
Yeah.
and why we play all these games. Sometimes it's uncomfortable to sit through all of these games we play.
Oh, believe me, we've sat through way too many playthroughs of PT for me to feel comfortable about it.
Yeah.
But again, like that PT's a great example of exactly why we do this channel. You know, you look at all of the themes in PT. You've got a husband going absolutely crazy, murdering his family. There's hints of child abuse in it. I mean, the freaking creature in the sink.
The eraserhead fetus in the sink.
Yeah, like, what is that? What does it represent? The talking bag. What is it?
But because
what is
it's
all of that?
but because it's horror, we don't think twice about it necessarily.
Right. Yes.
Because we're already open to seeing these horrific things and being like, okay, what is this trying to tell me?
Right.
If we take that out of that horror genre context,
Right. If you put the
I'm not going to
Eraserhead
go.
baby
I'm going
and
to
put it
be
into
much
Super
more
Mario,
exactly.
like you're gonna be like,
Yeah.
what the hell are you
The
doing?
contrast is much different,
Yeah.
and I'm going to recoil more because of
Exactly.
it. Because
Exactly.
it's the context is off.
Well, and I think that's the difference. You know, I've thought a lot about why H.P. Lovecraft and why Cthulhu instead of, you know, Telltale Heart and Edgar Allan Poe. And I mean, they were contemporaries. Like, why are we more drawn to the Lovecraftian stuff versus the Edgar Allan Poe stuff? He wrote some really creepy stuff. Telltale Heart,
Absolutely.
insanely creepy. The Raven,
Pendulum?
yeah,
Terrified me as a
terrible.
kid.
The cast of Monticello, how do you,
Amontillado. The
yeah,
cast
that
of
one.
Amontillado.
and even the Red Plague. He wrote a lot of really disturbing things. And I'm not saying that Edgar Allan Poe isn't worthwhile to study. He definitely is. But for our purposes, I think we're more drawn to the Cthulhu type stuff because it is more the control and the insanity and that like deeper horror, that deeper psychological horror.
I also wonder if, because the real difference between Poe and Lovecraft is Lovecraft wrote about, existential horror, whereas Poe sometimes delved into a little bit of existentialism, but it was more gothic, classic horror tropes. And I think as we progress as, a society, and as we learn more about the world around us and we understand more about us, then the things that scared people back when Edgar Allan Poe was writing The Raven, that's not as scary anymore. What is scary? The void vastness of space, of something that we don't quite yet understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that's why we're kind of drawn more to Lovecraft, at least in this day and age.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that's why we're kind of getting away from the gothic horror, because gothic horror was a big thing. And we went from gothic horror, then we went to slashers, because the 80s and 90s, it was scary to be out in the woods alone, because we didn't have good cell phones.
Well, and it
You
was
know what
so.
I mean? We were cut off once we were out there, and so that was a very real fear. Plus, couple that with the angst of coming of age and growing up and trying to incorporate, trying to navigate all these hormonal changes that we're going through, plus trying to, fit in with our peers and things like that at school. Like, kind of lost my train of thought, but I think that's why things are changing. I think that's why Lovecraft is making such a resurgence right now, is because we're being challenged by existentialism. Religion, for the most part, is failing people. Not, people aren't as religious as they used to be.
Yeah.
And so we're looking
Well,
outward.
organized religion. Anyway.
Sure. And so, I think it has its place, and I think it's worth discussing.
Yeah. Well, and even thinking just like, one of the most great recent good examples of Lovecraft, is Bloodborne.
Absolutely.
And you think of like all of the horrific designs, and like even the cleric beast, right? And the moon presence. And, the moon presence is literally a woman giving birth.
Yeah.
And like normally that's not an okay thing to like. Me and you aren't going to sit there and be like, what's scary? Women giving birth. Like, that's not a conversation you're going to have. And yet Bloodborne allows you to kind of examine that and be frightened by it, and yet at the same time take a step back and say, why am I frightened by this?
Well, and that's also like one of the great subtexts of Bloodborne, is it deals a lot with, it doesn't come out right out and say it, but there's a lot of weird subtext with like menstrual cycles.
It's called
and
Bloodborne.
the living blood, and the
Yeah.
blood gives us life, and fear the old blood. You know, what's the
Yeah.
oldest blood there is? Is it the blood of childbirth?
Right.
Is that the message? Is that what we're
Yeah.
supposed to be afraid of?
Yeah.
I mean, Bloodborne is like screaming at us. Yes, be afraid of it.
Be afraid of it.
You know, here's a woman bleeding with bloodstains on her white.
So what I hear you
Dress of
saying,
purity.
Cole, is that Bloodborne is actually a female empowerment.
What I'm saying is,
piece of
Bloodborne is more feminist and more advanced than Mulan.
Yeah, but I 100%.
Bloodborne does more for
Bloodborne
feminist
does
values
more
than
for
Mulan
feminists than Mulan.
You heard it here.
Heard it on Talons and Tentacles first. Seriously. But I think, again, like going back to Blasphemous, that's why these games are so interesting. Is because it forces you to question, one, why do I have this sick feeling in my stomach? And two, am I falling victim to any of these kind of things in a less extreme way?
Sure.
In my own
I'm not
life?
going to go topple an organized religion
No.
in my spare time.
I mean, maybe.
Mainly, I don't have the
I
cool
might.
sword to do it with.
I might. That sounds like something I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very Lance thing.
You know, but like, I don't know. So as far as, you know, Lance and I were talking about this earlier, as far as, you know, we stream together on, you know, 2 nights a week. Ideally.
Tuesdays and Fridays.
Tuesdays and Fridays we stream together. If all things go well.
Yes.
We're going to stop streaming this game together after tonight. I'll keep streaming it just for the sake of playthrough for anybody interested on my solo streams.
Yes.
I think I'll bounce back and forth between this and the other game I'm playing, The Last Door, because I think that game has some merit too.
Oh, that game's so creepy.
Yeah, it's a good,
It's a
especially
good,
the one.
It's a slow burn though.
When I was playing last night, it was super creepy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a part where you go in the sewers and there's a woman singing a lullaby in the distance, and it was freaking me out. It was like I was having trouble with it. I was like, I can't do this,
Right.
you know. But I think we've said everything that we want to say about this game, and just because we're cutting our play time and attention to it short, it doesn't mean that this game isn't worth a full playthrough.
Oh yeah, it's definitely.
If you're interested in this game at all, I think you'll find value in it, and at the very least, you'll have fun with it.
And it's a very well made game.
Yeah, very well made Metroidvania style game.
And the art is beautiful.
The art's fantastic. I want like an art book of this game.
Well, they have one.
I think it was a Kickstarter bonus though.
Yeah.
So it's hard
I
to find.
found one on eBay for like $200.
Yeah.
But,
But yeah, the art's beautiful, and I want to see the cut content, and I hope they keep updating it.
Yeah.
So all
Jason
good.
says he liked it.
Good, Jason.
That's great.
I'm glad you liked it.
So we are going to. I'm going to stream tomorrow.
And what are you streaming tomorrow? You gonna do more Crusader Kings?
Disgaea.
Oh, that's right. You're doing Disgaea.
For a complete plus.
Okay.
As much as you guys don't want me to, it's actually about demons and hell and ghosts and
Hey, Lance.
all
Lance,
of that.
You don't owe them an explanation. This is your channel too.
You're right. I'm going to play whatever
If you want to
damn
play
game I want
Disgaea,
to.
you play Disgaea.
I'm going to. I'm going to play Disgaea, and you guys are going to like it.
And if you don't like it, you can lump it.
You can lump it.
That's what my mom always said to me. Always been funny because we don't know what it means.
It's awesome.
It's like, what are you talking about?
That's one of my favorite bits from Mike Birbiglia.
Oh, he's great.
Oh, he's so good. Everything he does is
Yeah,
hilarious.
he's great.
But he has one where he's talking about his mom used to have all these idioms that she just made up. And just one day he said to his mom, "Mom, I want to go to the mall with my friends." And she said back to him, "Like fun you're going to the mall?" And he's like, "Yeah,
that's
like,
why.
Like fun. Like I'm
Exactly.
going to the mall for fun.
We're on the same page.
On the same page." And then he gets to go. He like starts leaving, and she's like, "Where do you think you're going?" And
It's like, we
she's
just
like,
talked about this.
We just talked about this, and I'm for fun. I'm going for fun. It's such a funny bit.
I remember one time we were driving home from the farm, and me and my brother would goof around, like picking at each other, and my dad was like getting pissed off, and he finally just like blurted out. He's like, you can stop whenever you want. It's just like that dad rage where you just don't know what to say.
Right.
Like thinking back, I was like, yeah, I said plenty of stuff like that to my kids.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, and then another thing he said is that we were going to be in more trouble than a Crispus goose.
Nice.
We're like,
That's awesome. That's an awesome
what?
phrase. I love it.
You're gonna cook us?
God,
It's not
I guess
Christmas.
either.
It's the middle of summer.
Speaking of real life horror, Colt,
Yeah,
how'd the skinning of the rabbits go?
it's kind of horrifying. But
I
there's
get-
been a new addition to the witching tree.
Is that? I mean, I wasn't understanding why the skinning was happening.
Because last spring I got 4 bunnies, and we built a hutch for them. We've been raising them. Now they're like this big. They're not. I think they're either all male or they're all female because they're not multiplying like
Well,
bunnies
as
do.
the Ballad of Mulan
And not only that, they've started chewing through the floorboards
Oh snap!
and getting out.
Damn bunnies.
And so I was tired of
Is that
catching bunnies.
When you get mad at them, is that when they go from being a bunny to a rabbit?
Sure.
Okay.
Bunny is when we're on good terms. Rabbit is
Yeah.
when they've habitually stepped over the line.
Yeah.
They're
Damn
become
rabbits.
habitual line steppers.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we are in the process. We butchered 2. We have 2 still out there. That we're
Did you put them in a
couple
stew?
days. No, in fact, we went to there's a machinist in town that my dad is friends with,
How very steampunk of it.
and yeah, he's a welder. The machines.
Specifically, you called them a machinist. It
Well,
was very
that's-
steampunk.
Well, that's what they're called. They're
No,
called
I know.
machinists.
I understand. I
Anyways,
understand.
he sharpens knives for my dad. My dad's friends with him, but he also hunts and fishes a lot, and he knows a lot about skinning animals. And I've skinned a few animals and stuff like that, but sometimes there's a good method for it. So
Like
my
a
dad was
cat or
like, "Hey,
two?
we'll bring sure." So my dad was like, "Hey, we'll bring over a couple rabbits. You show us how to skin them. You can keep these 2 for taking the time to show us how to do it, and then we can do it on the other 2. So we still have 2 out there left to skin. The ones that we skinned the other day, we gave him meat to keep as payment for services rendered.
I'm assuming he ate the meat.
Yeah.
Okay.
He says he like
Like paella.
no, he basically cooks it like chicken, like dusts it with flour and spices and stuff, and just fries it up in a pan. So when I'm gonna cook some
deep
this,
fried rabbit.
yeah, I'm gonna cook some this weekend. I think I'm just gonna do it on the barbecue grill. See how it turns out.
Right on. I know rabbit's really popular in Spain. Like it's
I've never actually had it before, so I'm curious. I
I've
hear
never
it's
had
good.
it either.
I hear it's a lot like chicken, like most things are. You always hear things that taste like
Yeah,
chicken.
but did we breed everything? Did we breed the chickens to taste like everything?
Or is it just-
or is it just that's the way it is?
Is that just how we convince ourselves that it's okay to eat
Because
something?
and since we're on a horror channel, does human meat taste like chicken
I
as
don't know.
well? Because there was the guy in Montana who was selling some pretty awesome jerky.
Yeah.
For like a really
It was supposed to be really good.
Supposed to be really good. Made
He
from-
had return customers. Can you
He
imagine
did.
finding
I
that out
I can't.
and be
I
like,
can't
I bought
imagine.
jerky from that dude?
Yeah, you come home from
I'd be
work one
horrified.
day and your wife's all like, "Hey, you know, Bob, you buy your jerky from
You know our-
Bob.
you know
That
our
was
jerky
made
guy?
out of human meat, you know."
I'd be horrified, dude. I don't know. How do you come to terms
That
with
you ingested
realization?
it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, just be thankful that you shitted it out. I don't know. What do you do? I mean, I'm glad I didn't eat any of it.
Yeah.
But no,
That
that's
I know
crazy.
of.
Yeah, that I know of.
Yeah.
But that's like,
It's
how
horrifying,
did he
though.
get away with it though? Like, oh, his
For so
his
long,
ranch
yeah.
hands just appeared at
Yeah,
the end
that's
of the
what's
season.
that's what's scary.
Like, okay, so people get away with just random murder without any, you know what I mean?
Mhm, yeah.
It's creepy.
So I'm going to show you a quick picture here
Of the rabbits.
of the witching tree.
Very nice.
There's the new edition. See the ears?
You added the head. The head. With the fur and everything.
Well, yeah, it'll be picked clean by the birds. But that's
Okay.
you know about the witching tree, right?
Yeah,
Have I told you about the witching tree?
I know about the